Here we go. Predictions in the chat are now open, so you can place your bet on how you think this series will conclude. Will we see a repeat of the upper bracket finals, or will we have an upset instead? As spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Radisson Station, we have the Canadian Protoss player representing Team Basilisk. Leading the series 1-0, it is Trigger. Predictions. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have the South Korean Terran player living in the land of Japan, the land of the rising sun. We have representing Team Hyper 1, it is HonMonO. Oh boy, and Radisson Station, this is going to be an interesting one. So typically, a map like this, a lot of players do try to be as greedy as possible and they try to take advantage of the map itself. But because we have HonMonO getting involved, I wonder if that's going to be the case. I wonder if Trigger can even be greedy, because HonMonO, he is so prone to going all in that Trigger is probably going to have to respect that. He's going to have to respect the aggressive nature of his opponent and open up a little bit more defensively even, and be careful with just how many corners he decides to cut. Likewise, HonMonO, does he... Oh, as we are going for a Rax Expand. Reactor first. No Reaper. You love to see it. HonMonO also cutting some corners here. Going for the Reactor before the Reaper. And up, trying to get a CC on location. Forced to once again throw it down a little bit off center. Will eventually land it on location. But yeah, I'm curious if HonMonO, he's going to do what he typically does and go for like a big push on 2 bases and pulls the boys, or are we going to see a different side of HonMonO in this matchup, and are we going to see a greedy HonMonO and a more macro, HonMacro if you will. Is HonMacro going to make his return? HonMacro is something that we see against Zerg, not too much against Protoss. Fun fact, HonMonO, he's a man by many names. His fans, they call, oh my god, as we do cancel the factory. Okay. His fans, they do call him HonMonO, if you will. There's also HonMacro, there's HonMech. There's some other names that aren't quite safe for work, and I'll keep them to myself for now. Look, he likes the anime. What can I say? And yeah, we'll see which kind of variation we get as we're going greedy here. Oh my god. HonMacro, it's been a while. Welcome. That is going to be a 3rd CC before factory out of our Terran player. And of course, Trigger, he is none the wiser. We do have a full wall up here. There's no way for the Reaper, sorry, for the Adept to get in. And we have skipped Reapers now. The reason why you want to skip Reapers in this matchup on Radisson Station is because there is no Reaper cliff. There are rails here, so Reaper cannot push into the natural. Reaper can't go into the pocket base. Reaper has to take the regular ramp here, and it's very difficult to actually get past and get a scout off, so a lot of Terran players just skip it entirely against Protoss on this map. And yeah, HonMonO, he's just cutting as many corners as he can as well. And the reason why you want to be doing this is just because of this pocket base. Not just the pocket, but also this 4th base as well. It is very easy, or I say very easy. It is much easier on this map to get up to a 4-base economy than it is on any other map in the map pool. So Trigger, he goes for a fast 3rd base. Before his, oh my, he goes for a 3rd before his tech. Crazy. Now he throws down, he went for a Stargate opener, that is true. Oracle first, only a single Oracle into a 3rd. Now we have our Twilight Council. Now we have our real tech coming out from Trigger. The Oracle, of course, looking for some economic damage. As the Oracle is zoned away, Cyclone comes out just in time, but Trigger does see the 3rd base. He's aware that HonMonO is being greedy and being very economic, and this is a sign that Trigger, this is a sign basically that Trigger can use to know that, okay, I can be greedy myself. I shouldn't be making units, I shouldn't be warping in, I should just be taking up as much as possible. And there it is, we have a Forge and a Robo, and additional gateways on the way. Stasis Trap going to be going off, delaying the expansion. Ay, ay, ay. Quite a hefty delay here for HonMonO. But again, we're just cutting corners, and the early game of this, of game one here on Radisson Station is going to be a pretty calm one. Relatively passive. Oh my god. This is not HonMaker. I mean, it is. It is HonMech. Oh my god, it is also HonMech here, as factories are thrown down, and we are going mech against Protoss, and if there were ever a map to do it on, this is the map. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, we have 3 more factories on the way in addition to the 2 that we already have. Oracle dips in, and I wonder if Trigger can piece this together. So far hasn't seen too much. We do have the Cyclone speed upgrade on the way. Armory as well for +1 for mech upgrades. And yeah, this is just something a little bit more unique. So I'm excited, but I'm also a little bit concerned. I do know that a mass Cyclone can kind of work here in this matchup, but because of how secure your bases are, I don't really know how well Cyclones can really, work here on Radisson Station. Going for a tank-heavy style makes a lot of sense, but it's going to be very slow going here for HonMonO. It's going to take a while for him to really get into his production. And there we go, we're making 3 tanks at a time. That makes sense. We're a little bit supply blocked, but tanks are on the horizon. 4th CC on the way as well. Is this what I wanted? As the Oracle goes in, and finally we get eyes on the additional factories. Now Trigger is aware of the mech. Immediately, Immortals. 2nd Robo, we stop Colossus production. Colossi are not what you want against tanks. You need Immortals, you need these robust, tanky units to actually, actually take some shots to the face and close the distance. Get on top of that tank line and shut it down. Charge on the way as well. So Trigger, he's responding quite well. Even getting a 3rd Robo. So triple Immortal production soon to be on the way. Again, Immortals and a Gateway army is how you want to deal with mech as a Protoss. Charge lots, Blink Stalkers, Immortals, that's the bread and butter here of all things anti-mech. CC is on the way. Really, Blue Flame, Viking production. Hopefully not too many Vikings, we don't need that many. There's no Skytoss, not yet. Stalkers, they do get eyes on the army composition. Trigger is taking a 5th base. So yeah, HonMonO basically is going to be turtling. He's doing what mech players do best. He's going to be turtling on up here on 4 bases, eventually taking a 5th. Now the 5th is going to be a difficult thing to do, whether it's this center goal base or the base on the right hand side. It will be much more difficult to hold on to because you will be spreading yourself thin, and you will be giving the Protoss player an opportunity, an opening to push forward and to punish you. So that is going to be the moment that Trigger is going to be looking for to pounce. As he is already moving out, we have a line of turrets and tanks. Planetary as well. Trigger just doubling down on Immortal production. Here we go, additional Immortals still on the way. It's a big warp in of Archons, actually. Okay. I think an Observer just got shot down. But yeah, we're going Archon, Immortal, Charge Lot. And Trigger has maxed out. He's ready to push in. He's up and we're on siege! The tanks are on siege, a little bit late to the party. Volleys are going to be going up. Massive volleys on these Archons. Oh my god, there are so many tanks! And Trigger, he cannot break this. Not with this army. Not with so little Zealots. Again, you rely on Zealots to close the gap and actually force friendly fire, getting on top of the tanks. So a good start to the fight here for HonMonO. Very nicely done. Kindness have additional upgrades on the way. Annihilation is thrown down. Trigger, he may try to come in from a different angle. I still like diving immediately on top of those tanks. And here we go, we're pushing in. And this time the Zealots, they do get choked up. But 1, 2, 3 tanks go down, a 4th tank as well. A much more efficient trade here for Trigger. He does take a lot of hits though in the retreat. Does still take a lot of tank shots to the face, but he mainly only lost Archons and Zealots. He maintains his immortal count. You can see here, not a single immortal has died so far. Only Zealots and Archons. And essentially, Trigger has to keep trading. He has to keep trading, and over time, this tank count is going to get smaller and smaller. As Trigger is already remaxed, and we're going in again for wave number 3. And the Zealots, they do close the distance. Massive connections here as they get on top of the tanks. It looks like Trigger, he has broken through. It took a couple of rounds, but again, because of the economy, Trigger, he just keep on going and going. One wave right after the other. GG gets called, and Trigger will take game number 2. GG, well played. Again, it may have looked like Trigger was overextending into all those tanks, but he was killing tanks, and he was only losing Zealots and Archons. Well worth it for Trigger, as you just had to, do that over and over and over again. Eventually breaking through and eventually cleaning up the army. And with that, Trigger does take a 2-0 lead in the grand finals. One more. Uno más is all Trigger needs. And HonMonO, he needs to fight back here and now. Now, when it comes to HonMonO's position, we did need some SimCity. Tank lines and turrets on their own aren't good enough. We need some either depots or bunkers in front of those tanks to be able to wall off and to actually have something to disrupt those Zealots. To stop the Zealots from closing that distance and getting on top of you. Otherwise, yeah, they have their way with your army. As we saw. And now we're getting to game number 3. Potentially the final game of this series. Now, HonMonO, he's already taken maps off of his opponents. Can he do it again? He needs to. Does need to. And here we go. Spawning in the top left-hand corner of a Golden Aura, we have the Canadian Protoss player representing Team Basilisk. It is Trigger. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Terran player from the land of Japan representing Team Hyper 1. It is HonMonO. Go. HonMonO not going for any kind of crazy proxy. Do have a Rax back at home. Trigger likewise going for a bit of a scout. Now we are loading into Golden Aura, and Golden Aura has similar features to Radiz's Station, where your 3-base setup is very well fortified. You can get up to 3 bases without too much issue. The 4th is going to be a little bit more difficult, and HonMonO, he's actually going for a... I did notice that we didn't have any gases. I did notice the lack of gases, which I thought was really weird and really peculiar. And we see why. It's a 3-Rax. We could even throw down a 4th Rax alongside this as well. This is a 1-base all-in. We're going for a 1-base all-in. There's the 4th Rax on the way for HonMonO. 1-base, 4-Rax, Mass Marine. No Reapers, no Marauders, no tech, no upgrades, no stim. Just pure man with gun. As primal as Terran can really be. And this is gonna be an interesting one. So we have seen plenty of 4-Raxes before, but usually the 4-Rax is proxied. Usually we get a proxy 4-Rax out at like the 4th base location, or yeah, usually out in the 4th base location, just a little bit further away. To go for a 4-Rax back at home, Golden Aura has a short rush distance, but not the shortest, not like Hard Lead, for example. So a bold move from HonMonO, risking it all on this 1-base all-in. Meanwhile, Trigger going for a gate expand. He is currently none the wiser. Trigger has no idea what is going on. And we'll see if he can piece it together. Now, The ideal... No! I was going to say that the ideal for HonMonO is for Trigger to go for a Stargate opener. If he made a Phoenixes, then HonMonO, he could snowball out of control. The Adept does make it past the line of Marines, and he sees even more Marines. The boys are being pulled. It's all or nothing for HonMonO. Twilight Council is cancelled. Shield Batteries are thrown down. We only have a single gateway. Uh-oh. We do need another gateway here. We do need more production. Instead, Trigger is going to try to defend with 2 Stalkers. Now, the reason why I was concerned about the Twilight Council is because we should be throwing down more gateways, but there is none. Only one. Only one a gate for Trigger. Army has arrived. We do have shield barriers. The boys are being pulled. We have an overcharge as well. Oh, we're soon to have an overcharge. A couple of SCVs do go down. A lot of probes are falling as well. We don't actually have that much to pull. But the Marines, they can't close the distance. A lot of SCVs going down. Good kiting from Trigger. He may only have 3 Stalkers, but you know what? They're surviving. We have to protect these pylons. Again, shield batteries, they are finishing up. The Stalkers, they will not die. And that is every SCV gone. Now it's down to the Stalkers and the Marines. And Stalkers, they can kite Marines for days. Ay, ay, ay. One Stalker does go down. A little bit of his control out of Trigger. Mule is thrown down, but doesn't quite wall off those probes. As HonMonO is trying to dive on him, but we have the overcharge. The Stalkers, they stand strong. We only need a single gateway. We only need 3 Stalkers. 4th Stalker is coming in, and we have run out of steam. We've run out of Marines. HonMonO, he has nothing left. He's down to 3 units. 2. 1. And that is his that is his last Marine. GG gets called. You are the champion, and Trigger will take the series 3-0, becoming this week's Tenacious Turtle Tussle champion. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations to both of our players here. Congratulations to both of our players, as top 2 do get paid out. So both HonMonO and Trigger, they will both be walking away with some cash prize, with some cash money. So GG, well played. Again, Trigger, he came in as the favorite, and he did bleed. He did bleed a little bit. Exclamation mark B in the chat if you guys want to have a look at the bracket yourselves. But HonMonO did take a game earlier in the upper bracket. You can see there in the upper bracket finals, HonMonO did take a game and wasn't looking too bad at all in that series. But here in the finals, it was a bit of a different tale. And Trigger was looking that much more dominant. I mean, I appreciate the diversity from HonMonO. I appreciate that we saw Mech on Radisson Station, which makes sense. But the reality is that Mech, if it gets scouted, it is difficult to pull off against Protoss. As we saw, despite the fact that HonMonO only had 1 area to defend, and he was getting to, 5 factory production with mass tanks, it still wasn't enough. It's still like he still could not hold on against the maxed out army of Trigger. It just doesn't really trade too well. Like as an army composition, it struggles against what Protoss has available to them, as we saw. GG, well played, and yeah, congratulations to Trigger. Shout out to HonMonO. Shout out to everyone else that competed as well. Soundo, Dave Testa, Sheng Ming, and some of the other new faces as well. Reaper, who unfortunately didn't get to play, unfortunately. Did have to forfeit, did have to play a show match, but nonetheless, was great to see Reaper, Don't Defense, and Germstud Doug. Thank you. Thank you so much for being a part of this, event, and I hope to see all of you again next time in the next tournament. This is a bi-weekly, every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks we do try to host this. The only times we do not host this event is if it clashes with a premier tournament or if it clashes with qualifiers. That's when we do put our event on hiatus, which is why we didn't have it last week. That is why. But yeah, a great turnout here, and an amazing amount of games. Amazing games were had. And with that, we're going to be going on a short break. Before that, again, if you want to support this tournament, exclamation mark Patreon, exclamation mark Matcherino as well. There is a Matcherino page for the tournament where you can donate and fund the event yourselves. if you wish. You by no means do you have to, but if you want to help support this tournament, Match Arena page is available. Again, all the money on Match Arena goes straight to the players. We don't take a cut. We don't take any of that. Likewise, the money on Patreon also goes to the players as well for all of our tournaments, not just the Turtle Tussle. And with that, we are going to be going on a short break. We're going to be going on a short break because we have something a little bit special for the people in the chat. Over the course of the past 2 weeks, we have been having some requested replays. If you're curious, and if you yourself want your replay casted, there is a point redemption. There is a point redemption in the chat available to you. I think it's 10,000 channel points, and we will cast your replays. Now, we have a couple of rules, and the biggest one is that it has to be your replay. Like, if you manage to get your hands on the replay of, I don't know, like a GSL replay or like another player's replay, like, no, it's gotta be your own replay. Has to be featuring yourself. Other than that, we are willing to cast whatever is brought forward. It also has to be on StarCraft, not like an Age of Empires replay or anything like that. Shaking my head. And yeah, so we do have a couple of viewers that did redeem some replays, so we're going to be going on a short break. I'm going to be changing the overlays, and we're going to be having some fun casts. If you only want some pro StarCraft, then I understand if you do leave us from here. You know, I hope you have a good weekend, hope you have a good Sunday, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your night, depending on where you are. Up next is going to be something a little bit more chill, you know, some more Masters or Diamond level StarCraft. Some even lower than that, but yeah, we're not going to be too critical. We're just going to enjoy ourselves and embrace the chaos that is about to ensue. Usually when people redeem replays, it's because of cheese. It's like, usually there's just a lot of nonsense going on, and we just have to deal with it. I still remember it was on, I think it was a Frost replay on Gressvan, where he played against someone that literally made Mass Lurker against Ghost Tank Lib. It was crazy, just non-stop lurker production, and it was like a 40-minute game. It was like a 40-minute game, just mass lurkers just rushing into tank lines. It hurt my Zerg soul. It hurt me so bad. Always good fun. So yeah, thank you so much everyone for tuning in. Again, you can support the event if you wish, have you wish. Otherwise, the least that we ask is following the Twitch channel or following us on YouTube. We're going to be going on a break. We'll see you guys in a couple of minutes with some viewer replays. See you soon.